Hey folks, and welcome to week number 7. So, as usual, 2 turn-in dates, Monday and Thursday. So, for Monday, watch that week 7 video. You're doing that right now. Check the feedback on your Essay 2 proposal. This is the time when I'm trying to assure that you get feedback as fast as humanly possible on things that are very much building towards your essay. So, those came in last Thursday. My hope is to get it back to you on Friday. Okay? So you should have feedback on this. Watch the summarizing and paraphrasing video just as a quick reminder. Watch your MLA citation videos, and I want you to write and submit your Essay 2 draft. Again, the sample's back in last week if you want to take a look. For Thursday, check your email for Essay 2 peer review assignments. Okay, again, you'll be using your cohort groups for these peer review assignments. So you can use the chat function in Gmail with your group to communicate as well. Okay, but I'll have instructions that'll come out to you. Watch the quick video on how to use Google Docs, particularly important if you are not familiar with Google Docs. If you have used it a lot, you know how to comment and give feedback in Google Docs, no worries there. Okay. Complete peer review. Read the Essay 3 assignment. We'll go over that in just a second. Read the sample Essay 3. We're getting ready for next week, and we're actually going to start you off early here, okay? Listen to the Science versus Artificial Sweeteners podcast and begin the research discussion round number 3, and then write and submit your Essay 3 proposal. I know that seems like a lot because you are kind of handling the end of 2 and the beginning of 3 simultaneously, but don't worry, we'll get through this, and I'll show you how it all goes. All right, let's go ahead and take a look. I'm going to kind of do a couple things out of order here. Because it's out of order on my screen, I will fix this for you before you guys actually start. So week 7 video is right here. The Essay 2 draft folder. Again, remember these open and close. Summarizing and paraphrasing video. MLA Works Cited. This is both how to do your Works Cited page and then how to do in-text citations. Both these are from Purdue's online writing lab. Really great source for guidance on citation if you're struggling. And then the Essay 2 draft folder. Okay. Now, we'll see. That's Monday's work. For Thursday. Okay. The Science versus Artificial Sweeteners podcast. I give you 2 links here. One of those is just the audio. If you're a person who wants to sit at your computer and listen to this podcast, I think it's about 40 minutes. Feel free, just click this, and all the audio is embedded in D2L. It'll go. If you want to listen to this while you're driving, while you're working out, whatever, you can go to their website, and using any podcast downloading app, you can download it. Just make sure it's the Artificial Sweeteners episode. Okay, it's one of their early ones, so you will see that you can find that on their website. Okay. Then there is a sample Essay 3 and a research question. Now, what I want you to think about is the sample Essay 3 that you guys are going to read before you do this to start this discussion, and the Science Versus podcast are both types of research papers, okay? Yes, Science Versus is a podcast, but aside from that, what it functionally is a research paper, okay? They do some interviews and different things. It's a little bit more jovial and relaxed because it's a podcast, but otherwise they are accomplishing the work of a research paper. So what I want you to do as a group, again, this will be same groups we've worked with all semester long. In a post, I want you to highlight some of the key differences you saw between these and the types of writing you've been taught to do in the past. The types of research papers you've written in the past, okay? How are these different from the research papers you guys wrote maybe in high school, or if you did one in 101, or if you've done them in other classes, okay? So that's research discussion round 3, just 1 week for this. All right, so finally, let's talk about essay number 3, okay? Okay, so we've got the assignment, this chart. I'll make a reference to this in just a second. Proposal template, just like we did for Essay 2, a sample, and a place to submit your proposal. Now, if you go to that assignment, you're going to take a look over here. It's going to look just like this. Again, the same format. We recognize this format, okay? So the background. The idea for this essay came to me as I started to see people sharing via Facebook, Twitter, whatever. News stories and memes were verifiably false. Or, more likely, an oversimplification of the actual story. But these sorts of news stories and the way we respond to them started me thinking. We get a huge portion of our news and information from sources that didn't exist in your parents' generation. Okay? Your parents could read the newspaper, they could watch the news, hit the library, talk to their neighbors, but the bottom line was that was being information literate. Okay? Now we have access to far more information and we're better for it, we're smarter for it, but we also can get inaccurate information a lot more quickly. Okay? Before, the only way for information to be truly corrupted was in the process of passing it, like the telephone game, right? Your neighbor says, oh, did you hear blah, 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 blah. Today, we can start with questionable information and pass it to millions of people almost immediately. Okay? Some examples of this. Okay? The belief that vaccines are unsafe. Jenny McCarthy stated this when she was part of The View a number of years ago. We certainly saw this pop up again with COVID vaccines. The idea of the Affordable Care Act, Obamacare, limits cancer care to those over 75, excuse me. Sarah Palin mentioned this a number of years ago, and it stuck. Like, there are portions of society where these ideas have taken hold and become what Stephen Colbert calls truthy. The idea that if enough people believe it, it simply becomes true. It just is a self-fulfilling prophecy. So, for Essay 3, and this is our first research essay, okay? We're actually going to do research here. Last two pieces have been analytical. This is going to be a research essay. I want you to investigate one of these types of claims. If you've got Facebook or Twitter, you have friends who post articles or memes like these, start taking a look at these articles or memes. If you don't, you can still do this. Just find a news website that acknowledges its political bias. For example, take a look at the edges of the bell curve on the Ad Fontes media bias chart. We're going to go take a look at that in just a second. Okay, find a single article that you think looks somewhat questionable, identify the claims made in it, identify the claims you'd like to investigate, you'll lay that out in your proposal. Your job in the essay is to determine whether or not the news or information presented in this news is actually accurate by doing research. Okay, so a couple things to think about here. Number one, don't choose something that's purely opinion. Okay? A lot of times you will get talking heads on the news who might make some claims, but it's straight up opinion. There's just nothing we can do to verify that it's true or false. Okay? Don't choose something you know is true or false. Okay? If we know it's true or false, there's no reason to do research on it. Right? Our goal here is to answer a question. Is this accurate? Don't choose something that's already been fact-checked by something like Snopes or another fact-checking service. Okay, there are fact-checking websites out there. PolitiFact does one. Snopes is a common one. If it's already done there, the work's been done for you already. Okay, try to pick something that looks questionable but possible. And I'm going to give you guys an example here. All right, I'm going to come back to the bias chart in just a minute, but I want to show you the sample proposal because I think it'll help you to understand what we're talking about. Okay, so again, it's very similar to the Essay 2 proposal. The difference is we're going to have a spot here for you to put either a link or the meme itself, okay? The idea here is that this is viral news. This was a meme. It came straight from my aunt's Facebook page, okay? The United States is third in murders throughout the world, but if you discount Chicago, Detroit, Washington, and New Orleans, the United States drops to fourth from the bottom on the same list. Coincidentally, these four cities also have the toughest gun laws in the United States. This is a great example of these piece of information get shared on social media, and people just like take it in particularly if they're already apt to believe this, and believe it regardless of whether it's accurate or not. Now, I've looked at this meme in a fair bit of detail, so I can say with a degree of certainty this is inaccurate. But the idea here, of course, is that U.S. is high on the world murder rate, but that it's basically the result of these four cities, okay? Chicago, Detroit, Washington, New Orleans. I'll note those are also all predominantly black cities. You can see that there's a racial tinge to the claim here, and a claim that those are tough gun laws, okay? So let's go back and take a look at the proposal, okay? Is the basic idea behind this meme, see below, that the majority of murders in this country take place in four cities with tough gun laws accurate, Okay, there's an explanation as to why it matters. I want to consider some key points. Okay, so number one, the meme makes some basic claims. I just laid those out for you. I'd like to fact check the main claim that those 4 cities account for enough murders that the murder rate in the U.S. would be near the bottom worldwide if these cities were excluded. In order to do this, I'll look at the murder rate and populations of those 4 cities, the murder rate and population in the rest of the U.S. Presuming it doesn't net clear results, I hope to look deeper into simple gun-based murder rates, exempting non-gun related murders. Between these things, I should be able to verify the factual accuracy of this bit of viral news. This is the sort of thing we're going for. Now, it could also be an article that comes out as well, okay? So a meme works so long as it makes a claim that we can actually investigate. All right, let's take a look at the media bias chart, because that will also offer a little bit of help for you. Okay, so if you click that link, you'll get this. Now, this looks really kind of wildly nutty, and it sort of is. This is an attempt to sort of categorize news. Okay, and so middle or balance means it is not particularly biased. So you've got NPR, NBC, and you'll actually see the bulk of major news sources kind of fall in the center. Then you, in addition to the center and then left, so you get the extreme left liberals and the extreme conservatives on the right. And then you get everything from original fact reporting down to inaccurate or fabricated information. So on the left, you'll see the Palmer Report, Veterans Today, Wong Cat, there's Veterans Today again. They kind of do these a few times, so you'll see them. The Root, okay? So you'll see some things that Ad Fontes has sort of suggested are inaccurate. And again, on the right, you'll see Alex Jones, InfoWars there, Natural News. Natural News is a particularly interesting one. I'm going to go ahead and pop that open real quick. So, we can start, we came over to this website. You could kind of take a look. These are all different articles. Any of them could theoretically work. So Antarctica hasn't warmed in 70 years despite rising CO2 levels. Climate scientists are baffled. We can look in to see whether or not that's actually true. Okay? There are 2 pieces to this, one of which is it true that Antarctica hasn't warmed in 70 years, number 1, and number 2, is that something that actually isn't easily explained? Whether or not the CDC is calling for concentration camps. This might be really hard to research because I'm guessing it's going to contain a bunch of claims that are not supported, but it's a place to start. You might look at any number of these things you could be interested in, okay? So, the Ad Fontes media bias chart here will offer some guidance. Try to pick something that's kind of on the fringes, on the lower, far right, far left, and anything from like this section here to the right, and this section here to the left, okay? All right. Whoops. So, that's Essay 3. The research here, of course, is just trying to answer the question, is this piece accurate or not? That's our job in our paper, is to try to analyze that. So, there is, as always, a template for your proposal that'll make a copy in Google Drive for you, and then the Essay 3 proposal can be submitted right there. As always, as you're working this week, if you've got questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. I'm here to help.